Hey everyone, Arthur here. I was forced into a hiatus there. I was sick. All good now though, and just in time to cover some major game projects that I really want to talk about that are currently on Kickstarter, and put them on your radar if they aren't yet, because I really don't think these games are getting as much attention as they deserve. And this is something that I always wanted to do, to cover games currently open to crowdfunding while showing the details of the projects from the backer's point of view, such as prices, platforms, and the more interesting tier rewards, like if there is a physical copy of the game being offered or access to the beta build of the game. And I think there isn't enough coverage of this kind of topic on YouTube. I think this is a great way to connect the projects to potential backers and bring these games into existence in the best versions that they can be. So if you agree, leave a like to help to spread this to more people. Alright, let's talk about the games. Welcome to the channel. This is From the Void. Okay, the highlight here goes to a double Kickstarter, which is something I wasn't even aware was a possibility. I mean, a Kickstarter project featuring two games is kinda weird, but also kinda cool, I gotta say. In this double project, the two games are Armed Fantasia and Pennyblood. Those are spiritual successors of two beloved JRPG franchises from the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 eras that were completely forgotten by the companies that own them. So it's really cool to see the original developers teaming up to bring these projects to fruition. Armed Fantasia is the spiritual successor of Wild Arms, and Pennyblood succeeds the Shadow Heart series. If you are a JRPG fan, you probably know about these two series very well, and it's clear how beloved they are by looking at the pledge numbers that the double project is amassing. They are fully funded with a wide margin to spare, hitting a lot of the stretch goals already, and those are meaningful. They already hit console ports and New Game Plus, and the next one is mini games to improve the experiences, and there's more to be announced. So there's still a good incentive to chip in other than getting the rewards for each tier. Let's talk about each game now. First, Armed Fantasia. Just like Wild Arms, this features a Wild West setting with a steampunky vibe, lots of firearms as the main weapons, and vast, beautiful, arid environments. I love the Wild Arms setting and vibe, so this is great. As for the gameplay, Armed Fantasia is going for something that I truly miss in modern RPGs, a big world map, and it's looking stunning. Take a look. I mean, sure, it's still in early concepts, they need to fill in the locations with interesting things, but they specifically said in the project's details that the world will, and I quote, be packed with things to do, end quote, including puzzles, races in high-speed vehicles, and what they call gadgets, which are abilities specific to each character to make use of to interact with the environment, which is great. It reminds me of Breath of Fire 2, and I am all for it. So there's a clearly high potential here. Big expectations for Armed Fantasia for sure. As for battles, it's going to stick with the turn-based RPG style, but there is a clear focus on modernizing features. There is a new battle system called Cross-Order Tactics. Wild Arms games, especially since the third one and all the way up to 5, had a good amount of tactics in their battle systems, especially with the hex grid battles. So it's very cool that they're bringing this tactical focus forward on Armed Fantasia as well. It seems that there is going to be synergy aspects between characters' actions, and doing that correctly can interrupt enemy turns, changing the order of battle. Armed Fantasia is looking really promising. It has immediately climbed up to near the top of the list of upcoming RPGs to me. I'll get to the Kickstarter details about this game after we talk about Pennyblood, since they are tied together in this double project. So let's talk about Pennyblood now. As I said, this one is the spiritual successor of the Shadow Hearts series, taking place during the early 20th century after World War I, specifically in 1923, which is almost exactly 100 years ago, by the way, and a great time period that feels very interesting to me. It has a more realistic and serious tone, including real-world countries and events, but mixes it with dark and even horror vibes, with moody atmosphere and supernatural creatures, which is a great mix of aspects for the setting, in my opinion. Gameplay-wise, Penny Blood features the Cycle Sigil battle system, which is a revamped version of the Judgment Ring from Shadow Hearts, where you have to time your inputs well to do more damage, adding more hits to your combo, which I always welcome in RPGs, as it removes a good chunk of the usual tediousness from combat encounters. You can also use what they call the fusion mechanic to merge with creatures, apparently, and doing so increases the insanity of your character. So there is kind of a Lovecraftian, eldritch horror type of balance here, which could be cool. Now, as for the Kickstarter details for this unusual double project, as I said, these games are already fully funded. They actually raised $1 million over the initial goal, currently amassing over 1,700,000 in pledges, which is impressive. With a few days left in the Kickstarter project still, it ends on September 30th. So this is a huge success for the devs, and I'm happy for them. Now, there is one downside to these projects: the release date. Both games are scheduled for March 2025. So quite a ways away, keep that in mind. As for the main tier rewards, you can get both games digitally for about $80, and they also offer physical copies of the games for approximately $110, so about $55 per game. I believe that this tier here, the combo physical deal for both games, is the best bang for buck if you like physical copies, but you can also choose tiers that focus on only one of the two games, if you're interested in only one of them. Both are being made for new generation consoles, so PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series, as well as PCs, and the games are confirmed not to be coming for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or Switch. However, they are going to try to make a version for a possible future Nintendo console if one comes out prior to the release of the game. Every single pledge tier here will give access to the beta build of the game, which is cool, and there are plenty of physical goods to get for higher tiers, such as art books, soundtracks, including vinyl, and much more. Okay, there are 4 more meaningful projects to talk about, beginning with one that I already talked about once on my top 50 upcoming Metroidvania games currently in production. This one scored number 20 on the list. We're talking about Rebel Transmute. Dev changed the name of the game. Actually, it was previously known just as Transmute. This one is unapologetically inspired by Metroid. It copies many features from the Metroid series, but it also has a lot of original features, including the graphic style, the augments system, with which you can customize your combat abilities to your preference, with lots of interesting options, and a compelling story about finding the main character's mother. I'm quite interested in this one, and if you are as well, consider helping the solo dev in making Rebel Transmute the best it can be. The project is already funded, but there are interesting stretch goals. The next is a Switch port, which would be great, at 24,000, and at 27, an improved soundtrack. Rebel Transmute is confirmed for PCs and almost guaranteed to come to Switch, as the stretch goal is almost achieved at this point, but no other consoles. The dev is also offering no physical rewards. He's making a point of that actually, as he's all alone in this project and wants to avoid the potential problems that come with that, which is clever and honest of him. The lowest tier that grants you a digital copy of the game is at $17, and at 50 you get access to the closed beta. Next up we have The Big Catch. This This is a pretty interesting one. It intentionally goes for a PlayStation 2 era look, which is unusual and I think is pretty cool. And it's also a 3D platformer, which is a genre that indies rarely go for. This is a great mix in my opinion, and the gameplay looks awesome. The main character has a fishing rod that he uses for a lot of stuff, attaching it to things to swing around, pull himself forward, manipulate objects from afar and throw them. It's all pretty cool, and the movement looks great, very fast and fluid. This is shaping up real nice in my opinion. Do consider pitching into this project as they have yet to reach the goal, but are pretty close, over 80% currently. There are stretch goals to unlock a new playable character and one to bring it to the Switch, which would be great. So far the big catch is only confirmed for PCs. The lowest pledge that grants a digital game copy is at $23, while physical copies are not offered. There's one tier that grants access to the closed beta, but it's crazy expensive at over $500. The big catch is scheduled to come out September 2023. Next we have Mandragora. This is a really good looking 2.5D side-scroller Metroidvania that is going for the arguably overused mix of Souls formula with the Metroidvania structure, but doing everything quite well from the looks of it. It's going to have a sprawling skill tree and a lot of other RPG-like character development mechanics, very similar to Diablo overall, including several classes to choose from. One is locked behind a stretch goal, a dark storyline with many characters, and a deep and challenging combat with Souls elements. Everything is looking great here, so consider pledging to help the devs reach their goal of $110,000, which they're very close to already, despite being the beginning of the campaign right now. The lowest pledge that offers a digital copy is at $25, while physical copies are also offered at pledges of $79 or more, and the beta access to the game is also offered at pledges beginning at $29. This game is coming for Switch, PCs, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series, all confirmed. Mandragora is scheduled to be released in December 2023. Next we have Paper Animals RPG. This is of course a Paper Mario RPG inspired game, but the combat seems rather different. There's kind of a real-time movement aspect to it that could be cool, but for those of you who dislike roguelike aspects, this one's got it. The dungeons are procedurally generated, which is usually not a great thing, but could not be a bad one either. The game seems fast-paced and lots of fun though, so there is a good amount of potential here. Paper Animals RPG has already achieved its goal, along with a few stretch goals, but the next two are the most important ones. At $70k they are expanding the game, and at $85,000 they are adding local co-op. So there's a good incentive to chip in if you believe in the project. The lowest pledge that grants a digital copy is at $15, while physical copies are also being offered starting at $55. Pledges upwards of $35 also grant access to the closed beta. Paper Animals RPG is confirmed for PCs, PlayStations 4 and 5 and Switch, and is scheduled for a September 2023 release, 1 year from now. Alright, I hope you like this sneak peek into these games in development, because here, from the void, lesser known games are the focus. I do talk about the big ones, but this is where I think can make a difference. So if you agree, you know what to do. I would really appreciate your help. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.